Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, and today we're going to talk about UFC Vegas 111. Randy Brown versus Gabriel Bonfim. And my friends, it's going on this Saturday night live at the Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. You got the streaking Gabriel Bonfim taking on the longtime UFC vet Randy Brown in a welterweight showdown that is sure to produce the violence that the fans expect, in addition to the fact that there's rankings on the line. I know Randy Brown has always wanted to be in the top 15, and Gabriel Bonfim, coming off the biggest win of his career, controversial or not, wants to ascend into the top 10. So there's a lot to talk about. Now, before we get into it, I want to say something. Half the Battle Nation, thank y'all so much for getting me to 10K subscribers on YouTube. I sincerely appreciate it. It means the world to me. I mean, I remember the days when I was hovering over my laptop with no mic, no camera, no nothing, just pure passion for the sport. And to see how far we've come. 10K subscribers. I built my own studio. I got Meticulous as my producer. So, and most importantly, I got all y'all support. So it's just unbelievable how far we've come. And the best is yet to come, my friends. Now, obviously, y'all want to know about the Malcolm Wellmaker giveaway. Well, good news. It's going down this weekend. So on Thursday, I'm going to tweet out the details on how to enter the Malcolm Wellmaker giveaway. And just so y'all know, I'm going to be giving away a signed UFC hat and 4 signed MMA gloves by Malcolm Wellmaker, and maybe a bonus or 2. So definitely tap in to my Twitter account at Best Fight Picks on Thursday for that tweet on how to enter. Y'all have been down with me so many years, and also the fans that have come along the way recently. I got a lot of love for y'all too. So I want to make sure everybody gets taken care of. And this Friday, Malcolm's coming to Atlanta. For those that don't know, he's from Augusta, Georgia, which is 2 hours away from Atlanta, but he's coming to corner one of his teammates in the NFC on Friday. So I'm going to meet up with him then, get everything signed, and then I believe on Saturday I'll do a live stream and hook y'all up. So I can't wait for that. Thank y'all so much for getting me to 10K. Next stop, 100K. But before we do that, we got some fights to break down. So let's get right down to business. Because in this main event, we got Gabriel Bonfim, he's 18-1, taking on Randy Rude Boy Brown, who's 20-6. Currently, they got it Gabriel Bonfim minus 180. The comeback on Randy Brown is plus 155. So Gabriel is 28, Randy's 35. Randy's 2 inches taller at 6'3", and he's going to have quite the reach advantage at 78 inches of reach. So, man, hell of a main event. I mean, this has been a long time coming for a guy like Randy Brown. This is a guy who has truly paid his dues. And I mean, he's crushed the grapes, but will he finally drink the wine? Because when you're talking about a guy in Randy Brown, I mean, he's been in the UFC so damn long. Here's his most recent fight against Nicholas Dalby. And in typical Randy Brown fashion, you know, he had to give me a scare early and get dropped against Nicholas Dalby. But when it was Randy's turn to return the favor, boy, did he do so. And he was like, Wagwan, my brother. You know, and in that first round against Brian Battle, he was looking like one of the best fighters on planet Earth. He couldn't miss body lock takedowns, body head combinations. I mean, Randy Brown was doing his thing. But in the second and third rounds, he slowed down tremendously. I know Brian Battle cheated by missing weight by 5 pounds, but still, it wasn't the best look from a seasoned UFC vet. Here against Zaleski, overcomes some adversity, and then again returns the favor. Oh, man, he slept my boy Muslim Salikhov. That was tough to watch, but sometimes he's on the receiving end, like here against Jack Della Maddalena, the current champ. Shout out to my boy Jared Nitran Gooden for eating that front kick to the face and staying standing. But Alex Cowboy Oliveira, he couldn't stay standing. He was tapping into a rear naked choke that wasn't even fully locked in. But here, those hammer fists from bottom from Nico Price. Sometimes weird shit happens in Randy Brown fights, but look how well-rounded he is. Again, that triangle off bottom against Worley Alves. Now, I was actually at this fight here against Brian Barberena. Look at that body shot, man. Just sits him down, and a big body lock takedown there against Mickey Gall, which, interestingly enough, one of the biggest bets I've ever placed in all my years watching the sport was actually Randy Brown against Mickey Gall, where I risked a total of 7 units on Randy Brown. to beat Mickey Gall. And he clearly won the fight, but not without a scare. And that seems to be a common theme in these Randy Brown fights. Like, he's got some very winnable matchups. And I don't know, I don't want to say he chokes in big fights, because I think he's like, what, 8-2 in his last 10 or something like that. So like, Randy Brown can beat and hang with some of the best of them. I just want to see him put it together under the brightest lights when he gets those opportunities to truly rise up the rankings. Now, on the other side with Gabriel Bonfim, you're dealing with a very confident individual, and he's nasty, man, in all aspects of MMA, his takedowns, his submission ability. But man, those front chokes that he's got are so disgusting. Now, a lot of people thought that Wonder Boy got robbed here. I'm not sure I agree. I don't care what MMA decision says, but like, listen, it was still a close fight. And despite, you know, Wonder Boy being as old as he is, he's still a tough out. But look at what he did to Chaos Williams. He handled Chaos Williams in a way where I haven't seen many people do. And I mean, we're talking about a guy in Chaos Williams who had a 50-50 fight with Randy Brown, which I actually bet on Randy Brown in that spot here against Dalby. He gave Dalby a tour of the octagon until he pulled that rookie stunt. And listen, no one is exempt from that first L. Gabriel's name is not Habib. Gabriel's name is not John Jones. He was not exempt from his first L, but man, his front choke series are just so disgusting, whether it's a guillotine, whether it's a Darce, whether it's an anaconda. Here, a mounted guillotine against Munir Lazez. Who remembers that name? Now check this one out against Trey Waters. Takes him down and gets caught in a long man choke against a 6'5" opponent, immediately passes his guard and turns it into a Von Flue choke. And that just speaks about the level of Gabriel Bonfim's front chokes. They're truly something to be reckoned with. And in this spot, it's going to be really interesting, because I hear a narrative going around that, hey, all Randy Brown needs to do is extend this fight, and Gabriel Bonfim is going to enter that fatigue state, and that's where Brown can take over in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds. And I'm not sure I necessarily agree. Reason being is that, number one, Gabriel Bonfim, in my opinion, has paced himself better. I saw that in the Andalusa fight. You could say the Wonder Boy fight was what it was, but we all know that Wonder Boy is kind of an anomaly style matchup that no one else fights like Wonder Boy except maybe like MVP, right? So, and he still won the fight, you know, regardless of how you scored it. So on one hand, I do think that Gabriel Bonfim learned from that loss, and I think he's pacing himself better in fights. But on the other hand, he's got a style that requires a lot of energy. I mean, those high amplitude takedowns, selling out for front chokes, and stuff like that is going to fatigue you as fights progress. But on the other side with Randy Brown, are we really convinced that he's the kind of guy that is going to, you know, really be some cardio machine late into fights? I'm not saying he's out of shape or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, you saw the Brian Battle fight. Now, the caveat, the asterisk is that Brian Battle cheated, came in, you know, 5 pounds overweight, which he did his next fight up a weight class too. You can't script this stuff. But I just didn't like the visuals from Randy Brown getting pinned up against the fence in that 2nd and 3rd rounds, having no answer for it. And then you look at a fight against him and Trinaldo in that 3rd round. I mean, he got held down pretty much the whole round. So Randy Brown is always live to win a fight, but he's also live to give you the scare of your life. Now, I understand at dog odds, hey, Randy, you crushed the grapes. Will you finally drink the wine? Now, I would love to see it. And nothing against Bonfim, because I think Bonfim's got a very, very bright future. It's just, it'd be nice to see Randy Brown finally put it together after all these years and all the blood, sweat, and tears he's given us inside the UFC's octagon. But I think that Bonfim, I think both guys have passed the victory. But for Bonfim, it's about chopping him down with the calf kicks, closing the distance, and getting out of Randy Brown's insane reach advantage and that range he has, getting right in his face and getting the boxing going and hurting Randy Brown. Randy Brown's been hurt in a lot of his fights. And then from there, try to get those takedowns going. And whether you get one of those front chokes or you can establish a lot of top control, I think that's Bonfim's path. For Randy Brown, I think he needs to keep this fight long, keep Gabriel Bonfim at the end of his jab, and just start to stick him, stick, move, touch and go, and eventually just light him up to the point where you see a guy like Bonfim start to enter that fatigue state and eventually succumb to the pressure of a guy like Randy Brown. So I think this is a tough fight to call. Before tape, I was kind of thinking I'd take a shot on Randy Brown, but I don't know. It's like, even fights that are so winnable, like the Mickey Gall fight, like I mentioned earlier, he gives me a scare like every single time. A fight like the Nico Price fight, where he's dominating the whole fight, gets knocked out with hammer fist from bottom. So you just like can't script the stuff with Randy Brown. With Gabriel Bonfim, I like the upward trajectory that he's on right now. So realistically, I could see this fight going either way, but I'm going to actually come out here and pick Gabriel Bonfim to defeat Randy Brown in the main event, just because does Randy Brown choke in big fights and in his biggest moments? Like, what's the deal, man? Like, I'd love to see him put it together because it's about time he does, but based on his history, he usually loses when the lights are the brightest. It's unfortunate because the talent's there, the potential's there, the dues have been paid. Like, dude, you've done everything you need to do to earn this opportunity and to shine, man. Like, I think he's got top 10 potential, but until he proves to me that he can really put it together when it counts, it's just going to be tough for me to really plant my flag. But do you really need to plant your flag when you're getting these dog odds? So if you're taking a shot, I completely understand, but I'm going to lean a little bit towards Gabriel Bonfim to get this one done. Co-main event of the evening in the flyweight division. We got a matchup between Matt Schnell, he's 17-9, taking on Joseph Morales, who's 13-2. Currently, they got it. Joseph Morales minus 300. The comeback on Matt Schnell is plus 250. So Schnell is 35. Morales is 31. Schnell's 2 inches taller at 5'8" and has a 1-inch reach advantage at 70 inches of reach. So very, very interesting matchup because, dude, a lot of y'all don't know this, but Joseph Morales was initially a UFC reject, and he was a guy that I was super harsh on. Like, I mean, you know, he just simply didn't belong. But that was like, what, we're approaching, 7-8 years since then, and boy, has he turned things around. And I heard an interview with him talking about how, like, he was working like 40 hours a week in his first UFC stint, and he just couldn't, he just wasn't ready at the time. But now I think he's more than ready, because when you're talking about this kid, Joseph Morales, the guys he beat on his stint on the Ultimate Fighters, I mean, we're talking about legitimate guys like Eduardo Chapulin, the LFA champ, and, you know, and here against Idris Alibi, oh my God, like the flow state that Joseph Morales was on, I mean, drops him, takes his back, gives him a tour. That triangle choke was so nasty and opportunistic. Like, that was truly a great performance by Joseph Morales. And here against Immanal Rodriguez, you saw what Immanal's been on that Contender Series fight. Immanal's no slouch at all. And whether I thought that Joseph Morales won this fight or not, because it was kind of controversial, it was still a tooth and nail battle against a young, hungry, established vet. Excuse me. Again, sorry, take that back. Against a young, up-and-coming prospect is what I meant to say. Now, here back in the day, look, he had some stuff back in the day too, man. Like, and here against this guy, Roberto Sanchez, I mean, he was flooring guys in his first UFC stint. So you love to see it, man. Like, he's had power back then, he's got power now, but what he's mostly known for is that jiu-jitsu game. And boy, has it gotten better, you know, since back in the day. And here against, you know, Davison Figueiredo, who he fought in his first UFC stint, I mean, it was what it was. But the thing I like about that is he's got the experience of being in there with one of the all-time greats. So people are going to be like, oh, Schnell's a step up in competition. No, he's not. I mean, like, he's already been in there with Davison Figueiredo. So how could you say that Schnell is a step up in competition? But look, I know I messed up when I was talking about his highlight reel, calling Immanal Rodriguez an established vet. That's not what I meant. I meant he's an up-and-coming prospect. Sorry, I messed up my words. But not only did he beat that up-and-coming prospect, he also choked out the LFA champ, Eduardo Chapulin, in the first round. And then to parlay that with the Idris Alibi performance, like, dude, that was an eye-opening fight. I mean, the way he looked there in all aspects of the game, and like I said, he was truly in that flow state in that fight. And now I think completely different about this guy. You know, first I was like, this guy's a UFC reject. Now I'm thinking this guy's like a future top 10 guy. So Joseph Morales, tip my cap to him because he's come a long way. Now on the other side with Matt Schnell, I mean, this guy's a 17 UFC vet, man, a 17-fight UFC vet. And you just have to show a guy like Matt Schnell so much respect and credit for staying in the UFC this long. You know, my boy Cody Dern had him shooting a terrible shot right into that rolling ninja choke. So shout out Dern for getting that done. Oh man, Steve Erceg just absolutely floored him. And then here, Mateus Nicolau also floored him. I mean, this highlight reel, it's not all highlights from Schnell. A lot of it's Schnell getting floored and dropped. Now, I don't know how he came back here against Sumo Derji. That was an incredible fight, man. Took the ass whooping up front, then eventually put it on Sumo Derji and got a nasty finish there. He actually dropped Brandon Royval, which is crazy. But when it was Brandon Royval's turn to return the favor, got the signature double tap from Matt Schnell. Pantoja face planted him. Here against Jordan Espinosa, at the time, I thought Espinosa was a legit prospect. Look at this triangle by Matt Schnell. Very, very impressive stuff. Like, the guy's skilled across the board. It's just a thing where he can give it, but he can't take it. Now, look at this one. I was at this fight in Nashville against Sandoval. Look at these 1-inch hammer fists just putting him out cold. Like, dude, such a sketchy look. And then that UFC debut against Rob Font. Listen, I know it was a big step up in competition, but like, how many of these brutal knockouts can your chin take? And like, we know his chin sucks. I don't want to say his submission defense sucks, because you saw in that last fight with Flick, he got out of a lot of submissions, but when it's finally locked in, he's not going to try to fight the hands. He's going to do that signature double tap. So that's what you got to be worried about here. And I just think that Joseph Morales is catching him at a great time. And, you know, I understand the money line's a little bit steep. And Schnell, when he doesn't get finished, he's got a great history when fights go to decision. I believe he's 6-1 to the decision, to be exact. And from time to time, when I've counted Schnell out against a heavy hitter like Tyson Nam, he went out there and actually beat him by decision. But then again, Tyson Nam fights at a much slower pace than Morales. Morales is going to come out here, get right into the face of Matt Schnell and make him fight. And I think he's going to hurt him. And I also thought that last fight that Schnell had with Flick was like an old man's fight, where it's like, oh, if these two come back, they will be faded right away. So yeah, minus 300 steep, but I saw the inside the distance for Morales is minus 105. So I think that might be worth a look. And I also saw, you know, some of the round one props and stuff, you know, they were kind of juicy too. So I think y'all should take a look. So I'm thinking Morales comes out here and wins inside the distance and impresses a lot of people along the way. Featured bout in the welterweight division, we got a matchup between Muslim Salikhov, he's 22-5, taking on Uros Medic, who's 11-3. Currently, they got it Uros Medic minus 165. The comeback on Muslim Salikhov is plus 145. So my boy Muslim is 41. Uros is 32. Uros a bit taller at 6'1", but only a 1-inch reach advantage at 71 inches of reach. So hell of a matchup. And you know, Muslim Salikhov, when he first came into the UFC, I thought, you know, when he fought Alex Garcia, I thought he was a bit of a hype job. But man, this guy's turned into one of my favorite fighters. I have such a soft spot for Muslim Salikhov, a guy who truly knows where his strengths lie, and one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the welterweight division, despite being, you know, 41, 42 years old. So when you talk about the king of kung fu, Muslim Salikhov, I mean, look, this most recent fight, look at those busted parlays against Carlos Leal, spinning head kick against Keenan Song. I mean, he's destroying guys. Now here, Randy got him. Listen, live by the sword, die by the sword. And on the Andre Fialho fight, I mean, Andre Fialho was never the same ever again after this fight. Spins to the liver, spins up top. I mean, it was devastating to watch. And you understand why Andre Fialho hasn't won a fight since. But look, live by the sword, die by the sword. This was a prime Li Jingliang that caught him. Hey, who remembers the name Nordin Talev? You know what I'm saying? Or over here, Ricky Rainey, some of his early highlights. Man, Muslim Salikhov just sleeps dudes. Now, here's that debut I was talking about against Alex Garcia. Got choked out, but since that point, he's gone on to become one of the most prolific knockout artists in the UFC welterweight division. I'm just bummed we never got to see Muslim Salikhov versus Matt Brown. We saw the Randy Brown fight, but Muslim Salikhov versus Matt Brown, who holds the record for the most knockouts in UFC welterweight history. That would have been a hell of a fight. Now on the other side with Uros Medic, he's ultra aggressive, and you know, he's a Serbian kickboxer. But man, he gets dropped a lot in these fights. But when it's his turn to return the favor, I mean, look how he knocks this dude out. Oh my God, just floors him. It's just a thing where, again, man, why does he get dropped so much in all these fights? But man, oh man, this hurt my feelings to see him knock out Tim Means, you know, a beloved legend of the sport, you know, getting dropped again against Matt Semmelsberger. But luckily for him, he recovered. And then eventually he finished Semmelsberger. So Uros Medic is a very tough guy. I'm just worried about all the openings that he leaves early in fights. Who remembers the name Omar Morales? You know, at one point I thought that he was someone that could have made waves, but I think he just got to the UFC a bit late. Oh man, Jalen Turner beat the dog shit out of Uros Medic. I haven't forgotten this one, man. So, and then here against Alon Cruz, oh my God, Uros Medic put an absolute beat down on Alon Cruz. And here against his Contender Series opponent, I mean, he made this guy look for a way out in a way where, I mean, the commentators were like, he's looking for the door, So Uros Medic, definition of a kill or be killed fighter. Fantastic striker. I just think that Salikhov, if you're talking about who's the better striker here, it's Salikhov. Much more technical and more composed, more experience. It's just that my boy's 41-42. So is it going to surprise me if he gets caught in this spot? No, it's not, just because of the age. But the thing is, a lot lesser opponents have dropped Uros Medic, like an Urbina brother. You know what I'm saying, man? So Matt Semmelsberger, so I think I'm gonna have to go with the upset here, man. I think I'm gonna go with Muslim Salikhov to come out here and knock out Medic, because I think if he does drop Medic, I'm not convinced that Medic is going to be able to recover. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Muslim Salikhov to come out here, knock out Uros Medic, and extend his win streak. Next up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Ismael Bonfim, he's 20-5, taking on Chris Padilla, who's 16-6. Currently, they got a Ismael Bonfim -205. The comeback on Chris Padilla is +175. So Padilla, a year older at 30. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage at 5'9", and he's got, a 1-inch height advantage at 5'9", and a 3-inch reach advantage at 74 inches of reach. So I got to keep it a buck with y'all. I've been picking against this dude Padilla every single fight, and like he just keeps proving me wrong, man. He's, I thought he was like some kind of journeyman, but he came to the UFC at like 28. I don't know why I thought this guy was like 35 years old, but when you're talking about a guy in Chris Padilla, he's somewhat defensively responsible. And here I say that he gets caught with a big kick, but he's willing to go toe to toe with anyone. He's got nasty elbows, as you saw in the Zhu Rong fight and in the Jai Herbert fight. But it's one of those things where I don't want to call it a lucky run and disrespect him in any way whatsoever. But I do kind of feel like his luck's going to start to run out here. But look at that elbow that he hit Rong Zhu with. Oh, my God, just fucked his eye up completely and got that doctor stoppage. So you got to show a guy like this respect, who he wasn't even signed to the UFC as like someone they were looking into. He like had a short notice replacement here against this kid Lontop, chokes him out in the first round. And ever since then, he's been rolling hot. What can I say, man? He's been doing his thing, So it's just one of those things where he's a well-rounded, experienced, vet. I kind of think he's a journeyman despite only being 30 years old. But like I said, he keeps proving me wrong. So if I pick him to win finally, this is where he's going to lose. If I pick against him, he's going to keep this, ridiculous streak going. But on the other side with Ismael Bonfim, now, I don't think that he's on the same level as his brother Gabriel, but I still think he brings a lot to the table. High volume boxing, well-rounded guy, but sometimes it seems that he doesn't overcome adversity the best. But to his credit, the guys he's been losing to are all legit, whether we're talking about Nazim Sadikhov, whether we're talking about Benoit Saint-Denis, whether we're talking about earlier in his career against Renato Moicano. It's not like he's out here losing to slouches. He's losing to ranked opposition. And the question is, can a guy like Padilla bring the, I don't want to say the quit out of him, because I don't think that's fair to say, but just kind of put that pressure on him and really, make a lasting impression. Look at this flying knee right here against Terrence McKinney. Oh my God, this was devastating. Oh shit. Flatlines him badly here on the Contender Series. It's just, you got to see that volume boxing on display. And what I do think is that Ismael Bonfim is going to have a lot more output, a lot more volume, a lot more accuracy than Padilla. And while Padilla is very defensively responsible, I just think that when you look at the strike count at the end of this fight, you're going to see Bonfim not necessarily double him up on strikes, but it's going to be, he's going to outstrike him by quite a wide margin. It's just about, can Padilla have those opportunistic moments where, lands a big elbow and causes a cut, or gets that opportunistic takedown and takes his back, or whatever the case may be. But again, I don't want to sound disrespectful saying that, Padilla's lucky run is about to come to an end, but I do think his luck is going to run out, and I'm going to go with Ismael Bonfim to come out here and win this fight. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Ricky Simon. He's 22-6, taking on Raoni Barcelos, who's 20-5. Currently, they got it Ricky -170. The comeback on Raoni Barcelos is +145. So my boy Hyoni is 38 at bantamweight. Ricky's 33. Hyoni's an inch taller at 5'7", but it's Ricky that's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage at 69 inches of reach. So hell of a matchup. I actually saw both these guys fight recently in Atlanta. You know, Barcelos fought Cody Garbrandt, or as we like to say in Brazil, Cody Garbrandt, and Ricky Simone fought Cameron Smotherman. Now, Ricky Simone stunk the place up, but that was in person because, like I told you all in the past, like when you watch fights live, and I don't mean from the comfort of your home, I mean when you're at the event, you don't want to see guys lay on people. You don't want to hear the crowd boo. You want to see blood and guts. And Ricky didn't deliver that. But watching the fight back on TV, it wasn't as bad as what it was in person. But what do you talk about a guy in Ricky Simone? He does have kind of that weaponized cardio at times. At times, like he can do it all, man. He can mix in ridiculous takedowns. He can strike a little bit, but he's also a bit on the chinny side. But look, here against Javid Bastrat, takes him down nicely and then knocks him the you-know-what out. I mean, that was devastating against a hot prospect at the time. But here against Lockdog, who's kind of, you know, a future top 10 guy, you know, some early moments, but eventually the pressure of Lockdog and the size and physicality really got to Ricky Simone. And then Song Yadong is just on a different level than Ricky. You know, we're talking about like a top 5 guy here in Song Yadong. So it kind of was what it was. But like when Ricky gets a step down, like here against Jack Shore, he rocked him, arm triangled him. And then, man, this hurt my feelings seeing him knock out ATL Zone, Rafael Asuncao. But this one I'll never forget against Uriah Faber when I lost a max bet on Ricky Simone getting knocked the you-know-what out by a 40-year-old Faber. But hey, he's got to win over the current champ, Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, Merab went headfirst into the mat on that takedown, knocks himself out, and then Ricky sweeps him, gets him in that guillotine and puts him to sleep. And I don't want to hear any bullshit about, oh, he wasn't really sleeping or this. No. I know what I'm watching. And Ricky legitimately finished Merab, but how long ago was that? What have they both been up to since then? So, I mean, how much stock are you going to put into it? But just more so credit to the experience and the dues that he's paid is what I'm trying to say. Now, on the other side with Raoni Barcelos, 35, 36 years old when he first came in. And this is his most recent fight in Atlanta against Cody Garbrandt, the ghost of Cody Garbrandt. And I mean, rocking him all over the place, mixing in takedowns when he needed to do so. And here, the Peyton Talbot fight, I mean, that surprised a lot of people. One could say Peyton Talbot was, you know, drinking his own Kool-Aid. And since then, he bounced back beautifully against Felipe Lima. But at the time, man, Raoni gave him a tour of that octagon, you know, and Raoni's got some incredible techniques on the ground, on the feet. And Raoni's a guy that he's a black belt under his dad. Oh, man, Umar did him dirty. That was sad to watch. And this fight here against Trevin Jones, one of the easiest cashes of my life, you know. But Raoni's a black belt under his dad who's a corral belt, you know, like an 8th degree black belt. And not only that, he was also on the Brazilian national wrestling team. So like Raoni can grapple his ass off. He can strike. He can do it all, man. And remember this fight against Huachin? I bet Raoni there at like -320 straight. That's how confident I was on him. So, oh man, he destroyed Kurt Hollabaugh. Oh shit, just floors him, uppercut, boom, puts him down. So like Raoni's got an extensive highlight reel. It's just a matter of what does Raoni have left. You know, I love the fact that at this age that he's on this big win streak. He's doing his thing. He's setting back prospects like Peyton Talbot, you know. But here he's coming up against another established UFC vet and Ricky Simone. And I see paths to victories for both guys. For Barcelos, got to start to get off on those calf kicks to slow down the movement of Ricky Simone. And from there, try to touch the chin of Ricky Simone because Ricky's been floored multiple times. Ricky kind of has a bit of a suspect chin. I mean, I'm not just talking about the Uriah Faber knockout. The Song Yadong one we can kind of write off. I mean, Song's a top 5 guy who hits like a truck. But y'all remember when my boy Hani Yaya had Ricky doing the dance? I remember. And then as far as how Ricky can win this fight, Ricky has to use that weaponized cardio. Always keep Barcelos guessing because that's one of the things that happens as you get older. In Barcelos' case, you start to slow down. You want to fight at a much more measured pace. And that's what Ricky needs to avoid here. Ricky needs to make sure that, hey, we're not fighting a fight where you throw a strike, I throw a strike. You know, you attempt to take down, I attempt to take down. Ricky's got to go full on, balls to the wall, relentless. Like, get Raoni worrying about the shots up top, then mix in the level changes. Mix in the level changes, then go upstairs. Like just mix in all areas of MMA. And in addition to that, not get caught along the way because, Ricky, I do think it's not that I think he gets hurt in a lot of fights. So when I first saw the odds and I first saw the matchup, I was thinking I was going to like Raoni, but I don't know. I think that although both you could argue are on kind of a decline, I just see Barcelos slowing down a tad bit more. And even though I'm a bigger fan of his than I am of Ricky's, and maybe you could argue it's a dog or pass situation, I think that Ricky's pace and relentless pressure could possibly not break Raoni, but slow him down as the fight progresses. And that's where Ricky can take over, assuming nothing compromising has come his way in the meantime. So great fight between two vets. I'm going to slightly, ever so slightly lean towards Ricky Simone here. If you're looking for a sports book that doesn't limit winners or play games when it's time to get paid, then listen up. My friends at bet105.ag are offering split decision insurance. And let me tell y'all something right now. Did y'all see that last event with the betting controversy? I'm sure you have, unless you've been sleeping under a rock. Well, let's not talk about that fight right now. Let's talk about the Ketlin Vieira and Norma Dumont fight. Now, I got lucky because I bet on Norma Dumont. Hey, I got my money, no big deal. But if you bet Ketlin Vieira there, the fight went to split decision. Guess what? Bet 105 are going to offer you 25% of your money back. So you lose that Ketlin Vieira split decision. Hey, here's 25% of your money back. No questions asked. Doesn't matter if it was truly a robbery or not. No, if your fighter goes to split decision and they lose, bet105.ag are going to give you 25% of your money back. That's a lot better than nothing, considering the state of judging in modern day MMA. In addition to all the other stuff that's been going on, you need any edge you can get, especially now more than ever when betting UFC. Also, NFL's going on, and Bet 105 are offering minus 103 point spreads. So make sure y'all take advantage of that. So my friends, go to bet105.ag, use my promo code HalfTheBattle, deposit $100, and get a $50 free bet at bet105.ag using my promo code HalfTheBattle. Now let's get back to the show. Next up in the middleweight division, we got the most confident man in the UFC, Marco Tulio. He's 14-1, taking on Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD, who's 12-2. Currently, they got it. Marco Tulio minus 185. The comeback on Christian Leroy Duncan is plus 160. So Duncan's 30, Tulio's 31. Duncan's 2 inches taller at 6'2", and he's going to have quite the reach advantage at 79 inches of reach. So I love this fight. I mean, when you talk about Marco Tulio, like I said, the most confident man in the UFC. I mean, what doesn't this man have going for him? Black belt in jiu-jitsu, great takedowns, relentless balls to the wall style, comes out to shoot the box. I mean, he's been dating Norma Dumont, and now she's in the best form of her career. So I love everything about Marco Tulio. I mean, because when you're talking about this guy, I mean, as a killer be killed fighter, he will get rocked from time to time, but when it's his turn to return the favor, boy, does he do so. And he can do it all. The check left hooks, spin kicks, Superman punches. Like, man, he's super exciting to watch, and he's nonstop pressure in your face until the fight is finished. And that's what I love about a guy like Marco Tulio. I mean, he truly fights like the most confident man in the UFC. He's just a marauder going forward with a purpose. Oh, man. That knockout against Ihor Potieria, man, devastating stuff. Absolutely. And on that Contender Series fight against Duclos, that spinning kick that stopped him, and that guy he was up against was a kickboxer too. So he can do it against a lot of guys, man. Oh shit, the way he floored that Dos Santos dude. But here against Usry, the guy that just beat Azamat Bekoyev, I mean, he gave him a tour of the octagon too. He struck with him, a guy that like has had, kickboxing matches with Poatan and Izzy, and then he was also able to mix in the takedowns. And here on his regional scene, I mean, flooring dudes like it's nothing. So yeah, I love everything about Marco Tulio, and I truly do think that he's a future top 15 guy. Now, on the other side with CLD, I think he's an ultra talented fighter and very physical and just a freak of nature at times. But here you see Eric Anders taking him down. But look, when he got back up, oh my God, that spinning elbow and that finishing combo. And Eric Anders is not a guy that's ever been finished by strikes. I mean, we're talking about, you can say the Maheta fight, but that was more not answering the bell. That wasn't actually getting knocked out. And Eric Anders is a guy that went 3 rounds and took an ass whooping against Khalil and still didn't get finished. So for CLD to finish him speaks volumes about the maturation and the progression of a guy like CLD. But when you give him a step down in competition like this Ribeiro guy, he treated him like a step down in competition. Another step down in competition like Dennis Chaluin, he absolutely massacred his face and did what he had to do. So, I mean, there's a reason that now they're starting to test a guy like CLD. You know, he has crushed some grapes. Is it time to drink the wine? That's the big question here. But the thing about it is we've seen how to beat him. Relentless pressure and volume, like in that Armin Petrosian fight or in that RoboCop fight. So it's one of those things where Tulio has the style to beat Leroy Duncan. Now, if Tulio, fights uncharacteristic and you want to have a slow-paced match with Leroy Duncan where you give him his chance to set up his spins and this and that, then okay, then Duncan's live. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think that Tulio's too relentless, too much output, in your face the entire time. And if he can stay defensively responsible, not only do I think he can win this fight, but also, like, I talk about what he can do on the feet. What about mixing it up and taking Leroy Duncan down to the ground? I just think that Tulio's got too many paths to victory here. And although Leroy Duncan's a super dangerous guy, he's opportunistic at times, and he's a freak of nature athletically. So you have to be on your P's and Q's. I just think that Tulio brings something a little bit different to the table. And I think he's going to come out here Saturday night and break Leroy Duncan with his overwhelming pressure and pace. So for that reason, I'm picking the most confident man in the UFC, Marco Tulio, to extend his win streak. Next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Jamall Emmers, he's 21-8, taking on Hyder Amil, who's 11-1. Currently, they got it Hyder Amil minus 145. The comeback on Jamall Emmers is plus 125. Emmers is 36. Amil's 35. Emmers an inch taller at 5'10", and will have a 4-inch reach advantage at 74 inches of reach. So Jamall Emmers is what I like to refer to as a talented flake. I mean, the guy is good everywhere. Sometimes he looks absolutely phenomenal. I mean, that fight he had against Vince Cachero back in the day, I was like, damn, like this guy looks like a future top 15 guy. But other times he'll simply just drop the ball against guys that he should clearly beat. And he's one of these alternate win one, lose one, win one, lose one, type fighter. Yeah, won his last one, so we'll see if he's going to lose one now. No, but in all seriousness, man, Jamall Emmers, super talented, like I said, good everywhere the fight goes. And, here against Gabriel Miranda, I mean, floors the guy. And just like, he couldn't miss, you know what I mean? And when you give him a step down in competition like this, he more often than not treats them accordingly. So you love to see it. And yeah, man. Oh, man. Devastating. Oh, shit. Yo, what was the ref waiting for, man? Those 2 follow-ups were unnecessary. Here early against Nate the Train, he was doing his thing, but eventually Nate the Train, when it was his turn to deliver the goods, boy, did he do so, man. And that's the thing about Emmers. Oh, man. When he's the hammer, dude, forget about it. Like here against Bazookia. And then the Pat Sabatini fight, when he's the hammer, he's looking great. And then, oh, you're right into full mount. Like, dude, you're about to finish this fight. And then this whole leg lock situation, like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like, you try to go for a toe hold on him, and then he leg locked you. It's just so bad. Drops Julian Erosa early, and then he gets knocked the you-know-what out by Julian Erosa. It's like, yeah, with Emmers, it's just tough because the talent's there, the skills are there, the experience is there. There's truly a lot to like about Jamall Emmers. It's just that I feel like he has a tough time overcoming adversity. Like I said, if he's the hammer, he looks fantastic. But when it's his turn to be the nail, he doesn't do the best. But on the other side with Hyder Amil, I mean, you're talking about a certified banger, man. This guy goes balls to the wall every single fight he's in. And, it's unfortunate what happened his last fight against Delgado, but Delgado's an absolute stud, and that wasn't a quit job. That was a I got caught situation. It was what it was. And then to hand Gomes his first L, Gomes is a tough guy to fight. Then look at the way he went after this dude, Lee, man. I mean, just went after him with relentless pursuit and vicious intent and just kept swinging until the job was done. So Hyder Amil is one of those guys that, like, you better get him out of there, man, because if you don't, he's going to be right in your face. the entire time. And as long as there's time left on that clock, Hyder Amil's coming for you, man. So yeah, he is someone that you absolutely have to respect. And I know he's 35 years old, but I think that he's a young 35 and he's still, developing experience. And I think that he's in his peak right now, in his prime. So I really like a lot about Hyder Amil, and it's going to be interesting to see how this fight plays out. I mean, here in that Contender Series fight, man, he ate some big shots, but boy, did he break that guy in a way where, like, it seemed like that guy didn't want to fight anymore. So what I think is going to happen here is that just like the early going in any Emmers fight, I think Emmers going to look sharp. I think Emmers going to tag a guy in Amil who, have you seen the size of Amil's like jaw, man? I mean, Amil's head is there to be hit. Amil will get hit in this fight. The thing about it is, if Emmers does not put away Hyder Amil and Amil's still there, Amil's going to start to walk him down in that second and third round and just put that relentless pressure and pace on him. And historically speaking, Emmers tends to break in those situations. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Hyder Amil to come out here and get back on track. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Mayra Shitara Bueno Silva. She's 10-5-1, 11-5-1 because she definitely beat Holly Holm, taking on Jacqueline Calvacanti, who's 9-1. Currently, they got it. Jacqueline Calvacanti minus 255. The comeback on Mayra Shitara Bueno Silva is plus 215. So Mayra is 34. Jacqueline is 28. Jacqueline is 2 inches taller at 5'8", and she's going to have quite the reach advantage at 70 inches of reach. So interesting fight because I thought that Mayra Bueno Silva was going to be a UFC champion. She got her title shot. Now, I heard rumors that she was very sick on the morning of the fight, but even in that compromised and depleted state, she still almost finished Raquel Pennington, who went on to be the champion. And then the subsequent fight against Macy Shazan, I thought that Bueno Silva was beating the dog shit out of Shazan, spin kicks to the head, like she was doing whatever she wanted to her, walking her down without a care in the world. But the unfortunate part was that she suffered a cut and they stopped the fight due to a cut. And that's credit to Macy Shazan for inflicting the cut, but I don't think that Macy Shazan was necessarily taking over the fight, or I just think that we didn't get to see how that fight would have played out. So, yeah, it sucks from that perspective. But the most recent fight against Jasmine Jastovicius, not the best look for Mayra Bueno Silva. But at the same time, Jasmine's a legitimate top 5 contender in that division and pushes an insane, relentless pace and has a big threat of the takedowns to go along with it. Whereas Jacqueline Calvacanti, she doesn't have any takedowns in her UFC career. She looks to strike the whole time. You could say the volume for Calvacanti is kind of on the higher side, but I just think that she's, I don't want to say harmless, but it's like when you're going to split decisions with some of the fighters that she is, like Josiane Nunes and Nora Cornell, and then, you get the ghost of Julia Avila, who's got gray hair and 2 knee braces. It's like, hey, Jacqueline, go feast on the carcass, girl, and like she clearly won the fight, but it's like it's just kind of underwhelming for me, Look, the skills are there. I'm not debating that by any means. I just think that as far as this matchup is concerned, people that have given Mayra Bueno Silva a lot of issues are people that can take her down or push a big pace on her. And I'm not convinced that Calvacanti can do that. There's no threat of the takedown, like I said, as well. And I think that Mayra Bueno Silva, look, I'm not saying she's going to win this fight, but plus 215 odds against someone that fights at super close margins. And Mayra does have that danger factor. I mean, she ninja choked Holly Holm, ninja choked her Contender Series opponent, armbarred the woman with the most submissions in women's MMA, women's UFC history, Jillian Robertson. I mean, she submitted Jillian Robertson, who's got more submissions than Ronda Rousey. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, when Mayra Shitara Bueno Silva's on her game, I mean, there's a reason that I thought she was going to be a UFC champ at one point. Now, she's got to pick herself back up. She recently got her black belt, so hopefully that can elevate her confidence. She's been training at the Fighting Nerds. So I'm just hoping I see some semblance of, Mayra Shitara Bueno Silva with her head on straight. And if that's the case, then I think these odds are completely off. And although I respect Calvacanti's decision-winning abilities, I think that she's going to give Bueno Silva every opportunity to hurt Calvacanti or to possibly finish the fight. So, yeah, I just can't get behind these odds. Like, if it's minus 255, I want a domination. And unless Mayra is just completely checked out, which, of course, there's a possibility of, then okay. But at these odds, I'm not going to talk in those terms. And I'm actually going to come out here and take Mayra Shitara Bueno Silva as a big underdog to get back on track and win this fight via her danger factor. Next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Josh Hokit, he's 6-0, taking on Max Gimenis, who's 6-1. Currently, they got it Josh Hokit minus 400. The comeback on Max Gimenis is plus 300. Hokit's 5 years younger at 27, but Gimenis is an inch taller at 6'2". So just keeping it 100 with y'all, there was literally no footage on Gimenis on the site I'm subscribed to get my footage. There was nothing there. We went on the guy's Instagram, couldn't find anything just besides like grappling footage, which I mean, looks okay, you know. But the thing about it is Gimenis has been in there in MMA fighting against guys with like losing records and like, and the opponent he lost to, not the best look. So while I can't confidently say what he brings to the table just because there was no tape available, and if y'all got the tape on it, let me know in the comments below. You know, I just don't have much to work with. But on the other side with Josh Hokit, I mean, this guy's very physical. He's athletic. He's, you know, I think he had like a little stint on like an NFL practice squad, and now he's transitioning to MMA, and you love to see it, man. And those guys, especially at heavyweight, where the level is significantly lower, I think that should take him. I don't know if it's going to take him to the top 10, but I think it's going to take him to a victory over this guy. So give me Josh Hokit to come out here, win his UFC debut, and say some absolutely ridiculous shit on the microphone afterwards. Next up in the strawweight division, we got a matchup between Tecia Torres, she's 15-7, taking on Denise Gomes, who's 11-3. Currently, they got a Denise Gomes minus 180. The comeback on Tecia Torres is plus 155. So, wow, Ticia's 11 years older at 36. Time flies. An inch shorter at 5'1", and is going to have a 2.5 inch reach disadvantage at 60.5 inches of reach. So, a few years ago, I think it's a no-brainer to take Tecia Torres at these odds. I mean, she had a close-ass fight with the current champ, Mackenzie Dern. I mean, she had close fights with everyone. She's beat some of the best. Like, she beat Rose Namajunas back in the day. She beat Carla Esparza. Like, Tecia Torres has been there, and she's done that. It's just that she is kind of slowing down, you know? And that's just the fact of all the years that she's been in the game, man. Even prior to her UFC career, she had like a kickboxing career, you know, and like it's just a matter of when are the miles going to catch up. Now on the other side with Denise Gomes, on one hand, I love the power. She's come out there, and for this weight class, the fact that you've knocked some people out in the first round, that's quite impressive, you know. But on the other hand, if we're worried about the age, I've seen ancient fighters go out there and beat Denise Gomes like Angela Hill. So it's a tough one, but I think that, of course, with the state of judging, that Tecia Torres could, you know, win a split decision, but I think that Denise Gomes has more upside to win in a more dominant fashion. So with these judges, you never know. And if you want to take the shot on Pennington, I get it, but I have a suspicion that she's going to start to really slow down her next couple fights. And I think that Denise Gomes has paid dues, has been in there with much more experienced people. Now, I'm not saying more experienced people than Pennington. I'm saying more experienced people than Gomes, to where, okay, you've learned from those lessons. Now it's time to come back. And I think she might be catching Tecia at a great time. So just proceed with caution, because this fight could be one of those split decision fights that goes either way. Get your split decision insurance ready. But I'm going to pick Denise Gomes to come out here and win this fight. Next up, at an 195-pound catchweight, we got a matchup between Zach Reese, he's 9-2, taking on Jackson McVey, who's 6-1. Currently, there are no odds, but I fully suspect that Zach Reese is going to be favored in this fight. Zach Reese is 31, Jackson's 26. Both men are 6'4". I think Zach Reese is more like 6'5". And the reaches are virtually identical, to quote Mike Goldberg, at 77 inches of reach. So, man, Jackson McVey just can't catch a break. You know, he had the Cedric Dumas fight booked. He had the Robert Valentin fight booked. And they try to sneak in Dante Johnson in there. And now he's getting Zachary Reese. So shout out Jackson McVey for all the stuff you've been through, you know, and the fact that, hey, you're still going to show up, you know, big respect. And the thing about Jackson McVey is we don't know much about him, but what we do know is that he's very tall for the weight class. He's got on his regional scene, he's very aggressive in the clinch. And one thing I actually liked when I watched his UFC debut against Bruno Hulk Ferreira was I actually liked the feinting game of Jackson McVey. Very patient in there, really setting up his strikes. But the thing is, he can definitely give it. It's just a matter of can he take it, because his reaction to that leg kick that Bruno hit him with, that's that shit I don't like. And then on one hand, you can give him some credit for what went down as far as the submission. He's trying to take the guys back, but Bruno Ferreira is a legit black belt, man. Bruno Ferreira has beat some real people. I mean, Bruno Ferreira knocked out RoboCop. Bruno Ferreira tapped out Armin Petrosian. So, like, he's beat legitimate, like, UFC vets. So for Jackson McVey, it's just a matter of, like, are you even ready to be in the UFC right now? I know one day he will be, because I do think he brings a lot to the table. It's just, are you developed enough to be here right now? Now, on the other hand, with Zachary Reese, now, while I'm trying to figure out why they didn't rebook the Dumas fight, because I thought that was a fantastic matchup for Zach Reese, and in the short time that fight lasted, I thought that Zach Reese fought very maturely, because Dumas came out there ultra aggressive, wasn't setting anything up. Dumas was kind of street fighting in there, and Zach Reese was taking his time. His defense was on point, and then he started to pick apart Dumas until the unfortunate low blow. And also, I like the fact that Zach Reese has paid dues in the UFC. He's taking his L's, he's taking his lumps. He's not coming in here with any kind of delusions of grandeur. Like, he knows he belongs. And I just think that although both guys you can say are on the green and developing side, I just think that Zachary Reese is a step ahead of Jackson McVey at this point. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Zachary Reese to win this fight. And last but not least, in the bantamweight division, kicking off the card, we got Miles Johns. He's 15-4, taking on Daniel Marcos, who's 17-1. Currently, they got it Daniel Marcos minus 190. The comeback on Miles Johns is plus 165. Marcos is a year older at 32. Both men are 5'7", and Marcos has an inch of reach at 69 inches of reach. And I actually think Marcos is the taller guy. I'm pretty sure Miles Johns is like 5'6", 5'5". So, interesting fight, because with Miles Johns, listen, he's got a big overhand right. He can wrestle. He's got, like, that kind of head where, like, you hit him with your hardest shot, you're probably going to break your hand. Not the best volume in the world, although to his credit, that last fight with Matsumoto, it really stepped up big time. As my boy harvesting the garden of life, fruits and vegetables. I mean, he's training with Trey Ogden, who's, one of James Krause's proteges. So with that said, I mean, I don't want to say anything crazy, but, like, is this one of these fights that we should keep our eye on? Get our betting integrity partners to really monitor this one. But look, all jokes aside, I think that Daniel Marcos has a very good hit and run style. Pops guys' heads back with jabs, calf kicks, can mix in the opportunistic takedown when needed. And one thing that I'm really happy about is that he finally took his first L. No one's exempt from that first L. And now he doesn't have the pressure of being an undefeated fighter anymore. And he's probably learned tremendously from that fight with Montel Jackson. And now he can come out here and fight free. And in addition to that, Montel Jackson has, like, ridiculous physical attributes, whereas you're not fighting the guy with the longest reach in the division anymore. Now you're fighting, a midget. So I think that kind of plays into Marcos' hands. So I think with Marcos popping his head back with jabs, circle, calf kicks, once you start to get Miles Johns thinking about what's happening on the feet, mixing some takedowns, Miles Johns, what he needs to do is throw power punches against Marcos, kind of make it to where the judges favor. Although I think the volume is going to be higher on the Marcos side, kind of try to get the judges to favor, the big moments and stuff like that. It's just, can he get to that? Because Marcos is a moving target, and Marcos is a very smart fighter. Now, I know there's been a lot of criticism about Marcos slowing down in third rounds. Now, on the Contender Series fight, I give him a big pass for that, because that was like coming off a 3-year layoff. I don't know if y'all know that, but that's the truth. Some of these other fights, I mean, look, he's been going up against some really good competition. So it is what it is. But I just think that Marcos is the more well put together fighter. But based off Miles Johns' associations, I would proceed with caution, considering the kind of tomfoolery and fuckery that's been going on in the sport. So yeah, pure pick Marcos. So now we got to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. So my friends, what is the fight to watch for UFC Vegas 111? I think it's a no-brainer, because my fight to watch is Tulio versus CLD. I mean, you got the most confident man in the UFC, Marco Tulio, taking on Christian Leroy Duncan, who is starting to come into his own, who's got nasty spin attacks. They both got nasty spin attacks. And the dynamic of this fight is, can CLD kind of slow it down and get that flash going? Or is Tulio just going to get into his face, be absolutely relentless, shoot the box style, and break CLD in a fashion where he has been broken and overwhelmed before? So no matter what, this fight's going to answer a lot of questions about who's going to move into potentially the top 15 and start getting those big fights, and who's going to have to go back to the drawing board. So for that reason, Marco, most confident man in the UFC, Tulio, versus Christian Leroy Duncan, CLD, is my fight to watch. So my friends, now the question is, who is my fighter to watch? My fighter to watch is Joseph Morales. I mean, from a guy who was a UFC reject, who I didn't have any high hopes for, to the current form he's in now, the people he beat on the Ultimate Fighter, and that most recent fight, that absolute flow state he was in, and how well-rounded his attack is, and the fact that he's going to be right in Matt Schnell's face, making him fight the entire time. Yeah, he's someone I'm going to keep an eye on for, because I did not expect this career resurgence, and boy, have I been super impressed with it. So for that reason, Joseph Morales is my fighter to watch. Well, my friends, we did it. It's going down this Saturday night live at the Apex. Yo, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave me a comment. And just remember, on Thursday, I'm going to send out a tweet with the details on how to enter the Malcolm Wellmaker giveaway. And for those that commented last week, you know, I said, hey, if you're just subscribing now, I'll make sure to take care of y'all and enter you into the contest. Y'all don't got to worry. I'm a man of my word. Everyone else, Thursday, go to my Twitter at Best Fight Pick so you can see the details. And please follow the instructions 100%, because I don't want to have to deny anyone's entry. So just read it carefully, do what it says. I'm not asking for anything crazy, and you'll be entered the contest. I'm meeting up with Malcolm on Friday to get the stuff signed, and then I should be doing the live stream either Saturday or Sunday to do kind of like a Wheel of Fortune style giveaway, so it's fair, of course. I mean, duh. And we'll see who's walking away with these signed autographs. So thank you all so much for all your support. I'm so grateful. 10K subscribers, man. Hey, 100K next. So thank you all again, man, from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. The fans, I can't thank y'all enough. Meticulous, for all your incredible work behind the scenes. And anyone that's had my back, whether it's from day one, whether it's along the way, whether it's as recently as today, thank you. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.